Guys, welcome to the Æthos podcast. This is a debut of the Æthos podcast, the very first one. This is history right here. I hope you know that. But I am joined here by the founders of Æthos, co-founders, Dakota and Karen. Welcome to the podcast, guys. How are you?
Great.
Excellent.
Oh, sublime. And I just wanted to, for the people who don't know who you guys are, right? Like, who are you?
So I'm Karen. I'm the founder of Æthos. I started Æthos by myself almost a year ago now. My background, I was in leadership at Tesla for 10 years. And I wanted to create some tools for people that translated what I did there in terms of teaching the neuroscience of leadership at Tesla into products that people can bring the best out of themselves. And this is my co-founder.
I'm Dakota, co-founder, technical co-founder. I joined Karen about 6 to 8 months ago because of our shared friend group. You know, I heard a lot at like our outings about her company that she's starting and all about how she just didn't have the technical support to make it. So that's where I stepped in. I'm like, I like a lot of these ideas. Some of these product ideas are things I wanted to do already, or like similar, like there's similar projects I wanted to do. This sounds like a great opportunity to like jump in and build something from the ground up.
That's a really great point because it brings us into why you guys decided to work together and become co-founders. I mean, I know that also ties in with how you met because we all met in the same way, but nobody really knows that. So we're going to tell you like what our history is, because it's a really strong foundation of not just friendship, but like leadership and culture and a team. So like what happened?
Well, right. So I had just left the company after the 10 years, and we were having a semi-reunion with just the gang, and I was a little buzzed, and I was talking to Dakota about this concept I had for an AI integrated journal and a pen, and I was doing my best to explain to him the concept of everything, and I was so surprised. You know, he was really intrigued, and so after just a few months of follow up, I was still living in another state at the time. I was just visiting out here in California, and when I moved back out, we kept meeting up, talking through, like he said, the technical concepts. Just because that's not my background, but I knew that it was possible, and so the more that we talked about it, it fit. And I don't know if there's something else you want to add to that.
No, yeah, that about sums it up.
Yeah.
And we also met at a showroom at Tesla, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember meeting Dakota. I walked up to him like super, super eager. I'm like, what's up? Nice to meet you. And he was like, hey. I remember this so vividly. And you know, it's like meeting someone for the first time, but I got such a good vibe from the both of you. And well, Karen came in a little later when like our team was struggling a little bit, and she kind of like is the person to go to fix situations like that. So for somebody who doesn't know what Æthos is, why are you doing it, and how do you complete that mission?
Yeah, so one of the very first thoughts I had after leaving and coming up with the product, at first it started off with essentially, how do I translate, like I said, what we were doing and accomplishing at Tesla into these products. And the reason I wanted to build it was because I think that there's a really big need for technology nowadays that doesn't just really augment the part of our brains that seek novelty. So with technology nowadays, screens, phones, it really enhances the part of us that really wants, new things, newness, a 7-second attention span. So when I was thinking about first principles and things that Elon talked about at the company, what was the foundation of education and the foundation of learning when it comes to human beings? How are we wired? And writing is actually one of the very key things you could be doing to augment our ability to make novel connections. So the importance of that and novel connection is that is the thing we're wired for that makes us feel the most alive. It's our creative spark. It's the thing that makes us know that we are uniquely expressing ourselves in a way that's unique to our gift, our talent, and our experience. So I wanted to make technology to honor that, and thus the journal and the pen. It was something a lot of the leaders at the company always exercised, and behind closed doors, when we were all learning and developing together, this is something I always preached was the key to making sure that the teams that I had that were outperforming other teams, that every single person was executing at their best. And not only that, but in a way that was inspiring and that just elevated what we were doing together as a group. So I wanted to make technology that honored that principle of how we are wired to learn and how we are wired to really just creatively problem solve as groups and as people.
I think that's a great point as far as like taking the pen to the paper, so to speak, because I know there's a lot of people at home. If you're watching this, you're probably somebody who has a vision or a journey that you want to be on and see yourself complete that goal. And the best way to retain that knowledge and spark that part of your mind that is super productive is by writing it down. You might be in school and you might notice that if you take detailed notes pen to paper, it's a lot more impactful than maybe just typing it on a computer or taking a picture of the notes, because we can all do that. But I know I personally maintain a lot more, and I'll go into my tests feeling really, really solid if I took good notes, pen and paper. So I think that's a great point. And you guys are going to hear us mention Tesla a lot. We spent a decent amount of our lives at that company.
Yeah, we did.
And we learned so much together. So if we reference it, it's really because like it was super transformative for who we were. But Dakota, like anything to add as far as like the pen and paper and how we're trying to accomplish something that I think it's very well intentioned for people's minds.
Yeah, I'd say on the pen and paper part, like it's such a critical practice in general, but specifically too in my life, which is one of the ways that I connect with our product and our mission in general, or our mission, and then from that, we have product. And the devices we're trying to make, a journey, the app interface, the journal to extend that interface. On a day-to-day basis, I think just writing is such a powerful tool for expressing ourselves in two ways. One, it causes us to like slow down and think through our thoughts, address our thoughts as they're, flowing through our mind. Articulate them and compose those thoughts into, it looks like writing like on your paper, but like compose them into like materialize them. How we compose them and materialize them.
Right. And
that has such a significant impact on, your emotional health, mental health, your clarity, like your productivity, and all this. So I'd say like for us, that's just a huge tool that we're looking forward to using.
Right.
I want to use it, but also to like bring to people and like have an impact on them.
I want everybody to use it because we have like, it's a great time to mention that if you want to use the Æthos app, we're like probably one of the only startup companies that will bring you into our world. If you would like to download, we're going to leave the link to the website down below, maybe a pinned comment as well. Go ahead and head over to the website. Make sure you sign up. You'll get exclusive access to the first runs of the Æthos app, and we want your feedback. We want to understand what things are useful to you and what things are not useful, so then we can kind of just like cater to you guys, which is you're going to be on a journey, and I want to address these two tools that are coming into play here. There's the Æthos app and then a hero's journey. So can you explain more about what that is?
Yeah, so going back to the principles that I would teach there. So the hero's journey is really one of the first three. When I first came up with the concept of a journey, and just for everybody to know what a journey really is a journal and a daily planner in one. But that journal and daily planner is a compass that's unique to a goal that you have. So, and part of the book is really about creating meaningful goals. So just kind of touching back on the product itself, right? we can be writing things down with our mind, but there is a neurochemistry in our heart. There's 40,000 brain cells in the heart. And once you activate the heart, the neurochemistry from the heart to the brain is actually what brings out this concept of novel connection or creativity. And nowadays, with technology and the way that we interact with technology, the heart isn't so engaged. But when you have that, that is essentially what the hero's journey addresses. So the hero's journey is the heart of the 3 principles that you learn in a journey. So I have the book, and Dakota is building out the app. And combined, what they'll do is they'll help you train up something called metacognition. So what is that? It is the operating system behind your IQ and your EQ. The higher your metacognitive skill is, or the questions you ask, the better IQ and EQ becomes. So the hero's journey is a really simplified way. It's the first principle, again, Elon's principle of thinking from first principle. What is the very fundamental root of how we learn? And it's through story. The hero's journey is a very, very important thread. It's a story that has been detected in human mythology for centuries. Joseph Campbell wrote a book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. So there are 12 stages. And there are stages in the hero's journey that we all have gone through, whether we know it or not. And it's in every art form. If you've ever watched Star Wars, Rick and Morty, Harry Potter, all those things, like the hero's journey.
Comment your favorite of those 3 down below. Yeah.
But the hero's journey is something I always kept in mind when I took on a new team, when I met a new person. So when I met you, like I was like, okay, what is this guy's arc? Like, what is his story? You're
I'm gonna get emotional, man, because
and Dakota too.
Those moments meant a lot to me. Like we talk about, you know, how Karen came in at Tesla and transformed a lot of teams, and like, it's something to talk about it, but it's also something to go through it, because you unlocked something in a lot of people. And now, like later in your life, everybody reaches out and gives you your flowers. And it's so well deserved. Because if it wasn't for you, my life would have been a whole different journey. And like, I couldn't imagine it going any other way than the way it's going right now. And even after we all kind of like split our ways and left Tesla, there was a huge part of me that was like, man, working with this group of people, like, you're fantastic. Like, I'm looking straight at you, because it's one of a kind, and I craved coming back together. Something inside me was like, you know, maybe we will come back together and do something extremely impactful, which is something I kind of want to talk about with you. Is like, we talk about this idea of what is your why at Tesla. They would ask this all the time. They say, what is your why? What is the reason why you show up every day and you're becoming this hero in your own journey as an individual contributor to this bigger goal? But now it's about you. So like, I want to understand, maybe you guys can comment your why down below, but Karen, like, what is the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning that makes you want to do this more than anything else? Why do you do it?
Yeah, so I mean, it goes back to my hero's journey. Before, and in the book, you go through my hero's journey to then reflect upon your own, whatever goal or question you are seeking. And my meaningful question, and this is an activity you'll go through the book and eventually through the app, is my meaningful question is, can I actually bring children into the world? And at the time I was going through this like existential thing, like, do I want to bring kids into this world where like you really look at the problems and you're like, oh my God. So it set me on this journey of within me first of like, how could I? And really I came to the conclusion that if I, you know, had 2 hands, 2 legs, a thinking brain, and I chose not to do something about a problem I really wanted to be addressed, then I would feel hopeless.
Right.
And I wanted to inspire other people to act upon things they cared about. And I wanted to be around people who just enjoyed doing things. And I was always jealous of the people who like loved what they did. So I never wanted to work a day in my life. I still don't. I like to think I don't work a day in my life. But it was about bringing children into the world that I knew I'd be so excited about. And that's what got me up. And of course, like, at the company, it was addressing a really big problem and just getting to be around people who chose the same place, even though we all came for different reasons. Just being around people who were doing things and not focusing on how bad the world was, or just, you know, the regular problems that we all go through, that we were all pushing towards building a, like, the advent of this car. And looking back at it now, that was my real why, is just to be surrounded by other heroes, like, and then fundamentally, this this pen and this journey is about enabling that in other people without having, without being able to be in a team together.
Right.
Is how do we translate that into product? And that's what Dakota and I have obsessed about for like months on end, is figuring out how do we bring people out into their own hero's journey.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing I would add is it's the root of procrastination is not having a vision for your future, that you're looking at your present and you're always referencing the past. Procrastination is referencing the past and what's already been and acting upon that. And sometimes what you've done in the past isn't as inspiring. There's no identity there. It's not inspired. Where it's a comfortable identity because it's the past. But when you have an identity, a new hero that has a vision for the future, it's an inspired identity, it's inspired action. Thus, the second part of a journey, which is your daily planner. So if you have a planner, you'll stare at it if you don't have a meaningful goal. That's why people, I think, hate journaling, or it's unstructured. There's no planner.
Right.
It's like, okay, what do I care about? Like, what was my question? And then what are the actions that I'll take? And will I actually do it? Yeah, you'll actually do it if you include your heart. And that's the essence of what we're trying to translate through.
That's what we're building. And your why, just to sum it, it's like, it's well-intentioned, which is a huge reflection of the Æthos app and the products that we're trying to bring to you guys, truthfully, because you can look at technology, and a lot of times it's made to exploit the worst parts of your mind. The stuff that self-sabotages you and puts you in that state of, I want to do this, but I never took the first step to do it. It's just pure idea, just sitting on it. But with Æthos, the idea is actually to unlock that part of your mind and push you forward to becoming that hero who can take those steps, map out. You don't have to do it alone. You can do it with us. You can do it with Æthos, right? So your why is, I'm doing it. This is very impactful and well-intentioned. You're doing it because you want to leave a better world for your future kids. That's really sweet. And you want to be surrounded by other heroes that are all kind of doing things for a good goal, for a good reason, a good vision. And then I'd love to hear what Dakota's why is, because I'm intrigued by him daily.
Too much credit. Yeah, so my why is kind of deeply rooted in my own questioning of existence, which I'm not going to go into that rabbit hole, but through that whole process throughout like much of my life, questioning like my consciousness, my perception, like the things that I see, the people around me, the things that I'm taught, the things that I'm supposed to hear, the things that I'm supposed to say, think, the ways I'm supposed to behave, like all this, like, and in trying to find answers to that, all the research and the learning, all the books that I read, all the people I've listened to, whether they be present, like people amongst us, or, people of the past that, and through literature and whatnot. One thing that I know for certain is that one great thing about being alive is like the people around you. Like, it's just fun.
Yeah.
Being like your community,
Yeah.
like your friends, your family. For those of us that have that, it's amazing. And then not only that, but also being able to share community, like, and expand your understanding and knowledge and like participation of other people's communities. That's in like, that's cultural, ethnic, that's in careers, like in the workspace. That's like, there's so many dimensions to that. But I'm using community kind of broadly. And so I feel like I have a good ability to see into other people's communities and see like the good, the bad, maybe the neutral, and just kind of see it for what it is and appreciate it. And that makes me want to like create bridges between people and bring people together and help people to see those similarities also, to kind of break down certain walls that may exist or build up appreciation that is not there, maybe because there's just a misunderstanding of context, there's a misunderstanding of language, there's a misunderstanding of blah, 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 whatever it is, the ways that we express community, or we express who we are, which build up our community. And so when it comes back to the Æthos app, or the effort of Æthos and what we're doing, the hero's journey frames the user's like life story in this structure, which is more natural than being stuck in a loop of like things are good, things are bad, things are good, things are bad. It's not a cyclical loop. It's more of like a wave, or like there's a reoccurring structure,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's more highly dimensional than that, than just a circle,
Just a loop.
a loop. And so that better models people's lives, right? And in this modeling that we're trying to achieve, there's a lot of, how do I put this, like information that we want to make available to the people using Æthos to give them insight into the way other people do things, other people's perspectives, and like these little learning lessons. And some of them are productive. Some of them are like, maybe I'm in like XYZ career and this is how I'm successful in that career. Maybe some are less technical, some are more about like introspection, some of them are more about your perspective on things, some of them are more reflective, and so giving people access to that kind of information is a huge like thing. That's an important thing to me that I want to be able to like to provide to people, and especially not in a manner that's not taxed, because I feel like a lot of this information, which should be free, we're humans born on this earth, like some of this information should be like I don't want to say free, but like it shouldn't be so inaccessible, I should say. Making that very accessible is like a passion of mine. And then another one that's like personal is like, it's just fun working on stuff in groups, like working on projects like this right now, like
fantastic.
And then when we're working on like the product stuff, like it's just like nothing beats that, waking up and like building something from the ground up. Like that's like the accountability why. Like I get up and I'm like, damn, like maybe today I'm not feeling so hot, but tomorrow, like if I get up today and still do this, like I'm gonna appreciate it tomorrow.
It's kind of like what Karen sent too. She said like she feels like it's not work.
100%.
In a way. I don't feel that way when I'm driving over here, because we don't live close to each other. We can address that too. We don't live close to each other.
We live in like a triangle of like
it's like it could not be worse actually. But
100 miles apart.
But we still come out because it matters. It matters a lot to us, and I'll definitely throw in my why as well, because I think it's important for the viewers at home to know why we're so invested in this idea of what we're doing. And for me, I have had so many friends in my life that have said to me, Afshin, I have this idea, I have this thing that I want to do, I'm so excited about it. And they talk to me about it for about 2 hours in the car. I don't know, maybe you guys have friends like this at home. It's fantastic. I think a lot of humans just they crave to do something impactful, but then they'll find themselves in these situations where they talk about it, and then the daily life gets in the way, and they let that idea die. And that is such a painful thing for me to see, particularly when my friends are telling me about something that I truthfully think could be valuable to the world.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm thinking like, damn, like that was such a great idea. That was such a great potential. But because we're so human and we have so much going on and we don't have structure, we lack the template. We lack something that the process that pushes us to make that first step.
Process and structure.
Because I know you know this too. Once you start taking those first steps onto your journey, it almost becomes addictive when you see results.
Yeah.
It's almost like working out. First couple weeks suck. Once you start seeing the results, you're like, I'm addicted to this. I want to look fantastic. And that could be your journey. That could be somebody's journey in all of this too. Could be health and fitness. Could be starting your company. Could be anything. As long as
Relationships.
That's a big one. Love is so important, and approaching it and being patient. So I guess if there's one thing to take away from that is be patient with yourself. If you have like something, and this is for the viewer at home, if there's something that you're super into and you're super passionate about, write it down. Write that shit down. Don't let it slip away from you, and just really lock in and download the Æthos app and get started with that, because it can actually help you on a super deep level. Now, I want to throw curveball question at you guys that I came up with on the drive here.
Okay.
Because we talk a lot about founders and journeys and all these things. Now, I want to understand who, if you had the opportunity, dead or alive, you could have dinner with any founder of a company, who would it be, and what would be the one question that you would ask them?
Okay. A founder of any company,
Any
dead
company,
or alive?
dead or alive, could be literally anyone.
That's a good question. Okay, well, I'll just go. Honestly, the first person I did think of is Steve Jobs.
Okay.
Because there is this speech he gave it was a Stanford graduating class speech, and actually the clip of that video is linked in a journey. So once people read the book, they'll see it. But Steve, I quote him a lot, but I think the question that I would ask him ultimately was, because for me as a founder, that's Dakota was talking about, and you were alluding to it too, is, you have community. You need community when you're building something meaningful, because their life is messy, and you have incredible ideas, but like all of us, we all have our own things going on, right? Like I've got my thing, you've got your thing, but we all are coming together still, because there's something we're creating, no matter what life is throwing at us. No matter what situation we might be in. So for Steve, I would be very curious just to know what those things are behind the scenes for him. When he was going through cancer, and he had already built Apple by the time.
Yeah.
But the last thing he says though is, in that speech is stay hungry, stay thirsty, or stay hungry, stay foolish. And I think of anybody who had this view, and me getting to start a company too, and have a direction or a vision. Like, what were the things that he wrote down, or how did he think through things? I wish I could have I'm building the tools that I wish I could have captured that. And that's, I think, the essence of that is what are those little questions that got him forward? Because it's always the uniqueness of a question that, like, here's a better way to explain it. Like, at Tesla in our teams, I used to do, like, what is the question that leads you to saying, the conclusion is we must go to Mars, right? Like, what is that level for you that's unique to you? What is that question that's like, I got to go to Mars? What was that question for him? What were the series of questions that led Steve to be like, I got to make Apple? There's a series of questions that I went through to want to build this. I think that's I would want to know what was his mental model. Because
great questions really do matter in the grand scheme of things when building anything impactful.
Yeah, again, Elon says this, and he's like, you'll never get to the right answer if you don't ask the right questions.
So valid.
And I would add on to that, you can't get to the right questions if you don't include the heart. And if you don't understand the human technology, and if you don't design around the human technology of the heart and the brain. Because we are in such a logical-minded world. Great, we have great tech. And then how do we balance that to bring the best out of the human being versus letting technology lead the human being, let the human being lead the tech. So anyway, that's a great question. I got to hand that to you.
Thank you. Dakota?
That was a good answer too. That was a good answer.
So
Yeah.
Steve Jobs is so
That's a good
valid.
answer.
He was the first person I thought of too, but I have someone else. I'm curious.
Do you want to go next?
You want me to go?
You go.
I'll give you some time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine would be Michael Jackson.
Ooh.
It's between Michael Jackson and Justin Bieber, but let's just say Michael Jackson. But because for some of the people at home that don't know, I make music on my downtime. It's one of the things that drives me. I'm so passionate about it. But when we talk about, at Æthos, find your flow is like our mantra,
Yeah.
right? It's become our mantra, just like out of nowhere. I don't know. It just happened one day. And so find your flow, and what does that mean? But for me, it means like a moment that I can really latch onto is when I'm in the studio with my friend Aiden and we're making a new track. There's a difference between when we make a track that takes 5 minutes to make and we both feel like it's a hit, than like a track we spent 2 hours on and it feels like we're pulling teeth. And when we're in flow state, we both look at each other, we're screaming, we're
like,
laughing,
"Ah!"
we're like, this is the one, dude. You know, and that feeling, I would ask Michael Jackson if I could get a moment with him over dinner, just to be like, what's that magic that gets you, like, how do you get into flow state when you're making music? Because I know that man for sure has felt a moment similar where he's in the studio and things are just like flowing in a most beautiful way. And I know that's a huge part of what we're trying to do here, so it really ties in. But I would ask him that. I would say, like, how do you put yourself in flow state when making music? Or is it just something that has happened naturally for you? Is it about who you're working with? I want to know more deeply how you put yourself in that magical moment, because I know he also was very obsessed with magic as a person, as a human being. He would ask people about it.
Yeah.
He'd be like, you know, how do you find this magic? I want to ask him that.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
cool.
for me it's Michael Jackson.
That's great.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's a good one.
Æthos. Find your flow.
Okay. All right. I think I would say Jensen Wang.
That's a
Jensen
great.
Yeah, I think I would say Jensen Wang.
I love
Jensen
him.
Wang. He's a dog, dude. He's a fucking gritty dog. Like
Yeah.
So I just admire
From
his,
Denny's to
yeah,
Nvidia.
dude. I admire his personality. Like he just has like he seems to have like a no shit like personality. Like obviously like having to run a company like that is building both mostly hardware, but hardware and software. Like I just can't even imagine. And that's at that scale, like that just seems like a tremendous like effort to have to be responsible for. So obviously, you know, there's something to say about like his involvement like at that scale, but I think one thing I'd be curious about is actually there's a few. So like in in engineering, it doesn't I'm not always able to like naturally hit a flow state. It seems kind of hard because it almost seems fundamentally kind of like not a natural like process for flow state. There's sometimes where I'm programming like on the tail end of like of a design when I have a design done and I'm like going through implementation, which is programming or you're soldering or you're putting together hardware, this and that. Like it's a lot easier to get into flow state because it's more physical, you're more hands on. But then in the design phase, especially like as when you're responsible for architecting something that is not only going to work, obviously it has to work, but like you're thinking long term, like, is this scalable, maintainable? Like, is this gonna not only hit our needs for like this upcoming phase, but like the following phases afterwards? It just seems like something that's difficult for me to tap into. So I would be very curious on like him or like if he has any inspiration on like when you're in design, what are the things you do to get into a design mode? Because it's such an abstract. It's an abstract. Yeah, and like the process is different where like it's iterative too, where like you can have an idea, you can have a seed of idea, and then it may not be, you know, fully fleshed out. And sometimes you have to give it time. You got to air it out, give it space, or you got to kind of like put your mind on other things to kind of stimulate some other like, to try to stimulate like inspiration or like a solution space that has to do with something else, not direct to like what you're trying to solve. So there's ways that I like do it, but I'd be very curious on like how someone like him like facilitates like a design process or a design flow, especially when engineering is so technical and rigorous. Unless when you start to think more of like the human machine interface, like the UI UX, it's more vibey. You know, you can kind of more go off like feel, which is nice, but I mean in hardware too, like hardware has to fucking work. Like if it doesn't work, like you can't just vibe out hardware, like you know. But yeah, that'd be one thing, definitely. And also, how do you do it? Like, how do you operate? Like, how do you get up every day and operate? You have 24 hours just like everyone else. So much on your plate that I couldn't imagine. how do you like keep a clear head? How do you prioritize
Yeah.
when you have so much to
Yeah.
consider? Like, how do you even like how do you prioritize like not just one thing but like multiple threads in which each of those threads is probably a container of other threads to think about, you know, like masks, like yeah.
I know. Like that
Yeah.
feeling is insane.
Yeah.
He's a very interesting guy with a great jacket, a great leather jacket. I love his jacket.
Yeah.
But you know, Jensen, I'd imagine that a part of it is like he must be time blocking at such a
Has
high
to,
level.
yeah.
And like somebody has to serve him up on a plate like this is mission critical, this
Yes.
is like just under that, this is just under that.
Yeah.
And then try to address all of them in the day
Yeah.
if you can. But also a huge part of it, and as like really early on founders like yourselves, I feel like you'll notice this over time, is that what he has and what he built didn't happen overnight. It's like Rome is not built overnight. So like right now we're building something super impactful that's going to be super helpful to you guys at home. So I really urge you to get in there and download the Æthos app because we want feedback from you and we want to invite you into our world. So take that opportunity while you can. The link is going to be in the description. It's been a freaking pleasure. It's not work.
The pleasure is ours.
The pleasure's ours.
It's not work. It's just fun to be with you guys, and I hope you guys feel it too. So, and it's not lost on us how much time you spent watching us. I hope you took value out of this. I'm sure there was something like a nugget in there for at least each and every one of you. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on all socials. It's going to be linked down below, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Thank you. Okay, that was good.